Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to an exciting event that is dedicated to driving awareness about cybersecurity issues concerning seniors. I'm so excited to welcome you. My name is Confidence Stably, and I'm your host for today. We're just going to let a couple more people join us, and while we wait for them, we will have some entertainment for a couple of minutes. Enjoy.
Hello?
Hello? I'm calling you from your bank. Look, you will lose your account.
My account, okay.
But I can help you. Just give me your password, your card number, and your PIN number.
Okay, my card number is 1234566.
No go for my God, no go lose God, oh. Make you no start, oh. Don't for your hand, oh. Yeah. See I see why you're plenty. They wanna do you dirty. They wanna make you envy. They wanna see you flex. No go for my God. Listen, my belly people wait. You also when you grind and they will be hating. They send you fake verificate. They wanna wipe your Instagram for nothing. Protect your email, different password for everything. You download crack software for free. When you know say my guy you for feed pay. This is risky. Protect your money. No give anybody. Password or OTP. Make them no chop you. No go for my God. No go lose God. Make you no start. Don't for your hand. Yeah. See I see why you're plenty. They wanna do you dirty. They wanna make you envy. They wanna see you flex. No go for my God. Sponge. Line. See my brother no go come. If they ask for your CVV, no go drop bomb. If anybody tell you say hey I'm calling from the bank, can you send me your PV and make you block come? Come back by you more bill. If they want you pin, tell them no will. NCDC know they share free money. Make you no go carry mulatro. Well or the go bill. Protect your password. Use two factor, make your account no go act up. And make you know they click links that you can't trust. Or you go receive a lot you can't account for. No go for my God. No go lose God. Make you no start. Don't for your hand. Yeah. See I see why you're plenty. They wanna do you dirty. They wanna make you envy. They wanna see you flex. No go for my God.
Can you hear me now?
I get a big job. You want to try me? Now you behind me. Wait first. It be like police they like gate. Wait first. I dey confess.
Can you hear me now?
Welcome back, everyone, from that music break. If you haven't already seen the song or listened to the song No Go For Maga, you should check it out on SoundCloud, on Apple Music, on just about every music store that you currently use, and you're going to get to see listen to the song pending when the video drops. It's an exciting video we have. Once again, welcome. My name is Confidence Stable, and I welcome everyone here. Please just drop a message quickly in the chat box and let me know where you're joining us from, what city you're joining us from. Just really quickly so we can make this as exciting as it should be. So this event is hosted by No Go For Maga. No Go For Maga is an initiative of Cybersafety Foundation. It's a movement of young people driving awareness about cyber fraud, especially cyber fraud that is done using social engineering, because that's the number one cyber threat faced in Nigeria at the moment. So what we're doing is inoculating the minds of people with what they need to do and what they need to look out for as protective measures. So once again, I'm excited to have you join us. And I have an interesting guest to discuss a very exciting topic. So for today, to mark Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we have set up this webinar that should have started last week. And due to interesting event in our time, and in Nigeria today. We had to pause it to honor that event until today. So we're glad to have this today, and we're going to be discussing cyber safety for seniors, protecting the elderly from financial exploitation. Wow. Okay. I'm hoping there are a few elderly people here, and if there's not, that there are people who actually, interact and have elderly people around. And I think that's just about every one of us. We have one egbon or our parents still alive, or a senior auntie, someone that is not in the X or Y generation or Z generation. So those are the people this webinar is for. So the information you're going to get here, please ensure to interact with the people within the age group and give them the information. Possibly the video. We're going to be distributing the links to the video, so share it with the people who need the information. So just to give you a background of what we're going to be discussing about, I'll just give you some background information. Yeah. So internet access has been ubiquitous in Nigeria, like we all know it. And as of June 2019, figures from Statista showed that Nigeria had 123 million internet users. I'll say that again, 123 million internet users. Now, out of this figure, 74% of web traffic was generated via smartphones and only 24% via PC devices. Wow. Now, this state of affairs was brought about due to availability of cheap Android phones, which resulted in more people, including senior citizens, going online. Now, when I say senior citizens, I mean elderly people. Now, today it's common to see seniors having Facebook and WhatsApp accounts to communicate and stay in touch with family members and friends. I mean, my parents also have Facebook accounts, WhatsApp accounts, and I dare say Instagram accounts. So yes, these people are now online, so very much online, to catch up with old friends, family, and name it. Now, also many open personal email accounts or addresses to send messages and sign up for services. However, these good indulgence has put many of them at risk, as they're taken advantage of because of their limited knowledge about technology. Hence, the first episode in this series, which is this one, seeks to explore the ways malicious actors, bad guys, are targeting seniors for cyber fraud, of course, using social engineering and ways they can be protected. So we're going to be sharing on ways they can be protected. So we're going to be touching on many topics, explaining scams, targeting senior citizens and their defenses. We're going to be, discussing why senior citizens are targeted. We're going to be showing quite a lot of examples, and I am joined by someone who is very capable and able to dissect the topic, in very, very interesting ways. He's shaking his head, but I know better. His name is Samalia Atunbako. He is the Director, Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria. He's the Vice Chairman of the Abuja chapter. And just in short, he's the Oga at the top. He's one of the Ogas at the top. Samalia has great experience in cybersecurity consulting, of course, consulting in information security related projects, configuring and setting up cybersecurity workstation and tools using Kali Linux and VirtualBox. He's also worked as an ERP consultant, so he has quite a robust technology background, and has aced it with cybersecurity. Now, if we talk about his Bali, the places he has gotten his paper. Hey God, where? He has studied at the University of Warwick, and American University of Nigeria. So I thought I said the certification, so let's not go that way, but basically you get the gist. He is a great person to have this conversation with, and I am so excited to make welcome. Dun, 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 dun. Samaya Atunbako.
Thank you very much for the very extra introduction. I'm actually no longer the vice chairman of the Abuja chapter because my tenure has finished anyways. So yeah, but
please, ex-vice chairman is we push it apart for you. Oh, you're very beyond.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I wouldn't spend much time, so I'll just get into my slides. Let me just try and share my screen and see. What? Okay. Can you confirm if you're seeing the screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Up to now, right?
Yes, I see the flyer right now in PowerPoint, presenter mode, something like that.
Oh, okay. So, well, I was trying to make it in such a way that I could still be seen. Give me a second. You can still see the screen, right? Let me
Yes.
I just want to confirm if. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to display the full screen while still. Okay,
yes, we can see the slide now.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure it was full screen while I'm still in the app. Okay, so thanks for joining us, guys. As just earlier mentioned, my name is Samuela Bako. My main interest is cybersecurity awareness, so forget all the other extra things that Confidence was saying earlier. Today we'll be discussing cyber safety for seniors. The sub-theme is protecting the elderly from financial exploitation. So I would just like to start by saying a lot of the things we discussed today are still very relevant to the younger people, but we try to narrow down the issues around financial exploitation that are typically targeted at older people. So you would still benefit a lot from it. So this is just a quote that Confidence actually ran through some moments ago, and it just highlights the fact that a lot more people are going online these days. And like you rightly mentioned, is due to the fact that the cost of some of these devices, smart devices, have become cheaper, making it more affordable for the larger part of our population. And because there are more people going online, this automatically kind of translates into the fact that there'll be more victims because there's now a wider pool for attackers to try their luck. So I tried to break down our discussions into these 5 questions. We'll be trying to figure out why why seniors are targets. We also try to find out why online scams have become quite common today. We'll look at some examples of these scams. We'll try to look at pointers or like red flags, ways to spot them, and then we'll consider how we can or how we should respond to those scams. So I just came across this report some days ago. Talks about how much money has been lost to cybercrime in the UK, and most of it is around still financial fraud and things like that. So I don't have exact data on Nigeria, so I figured I might as well bring up something something from another country just to buttress the fact that this is a pressing issue and it's not going to let up anytime soon. So just in the UK alone, about £4 million was lost to cybercrime, but from elderly people in particular, not just the whole population, like last year in 2019. And this accounts for the elderly people account for about 19% of their cases accounted for 90% of the total cybercrime related losses that happened in UK last year. So you might be wondering why are we targets? Why are seniors targets? First reason is because data is the new oil. So in some decades ago, when oil was discovered around the world, when industrialization became the in thing, and automation came into play, where cars and things like that were brought into the world, there was great hunger and need for oil. I mean, there's still a reasonable demand for it anyways today, but that made oil very valuable and desired by everybody. We're now working in the knowledge economy where data and information is king. So the fact that there's data that you own or that you store for someone or that you have access to makes you a target. So for instance, if you're a CEO of a company, you own your own personal data, you have data of your customers, you have data of your employees, you probably have access to other CEOs and other top people. So for those reasons, the data you have access to, the data that you own now makes you a target. Another reason is identity theft or impersonation. It makes people targets because when you're able to take over someone's digital identity, you can do a lot of things as them, even as far as getting financial aid in their place and things like that. A lot, like I mentioned earlier, many people are business executives and VIPs. The older generation have access to retirement benefits and savings and things like that. So that makes them an easy target because many people that go into financial fraud go into it for financial gain. Similarly to retirement benefits, we talk of next of kin and inheritance. People can try to find ways to loot you of those things you've tried to work hard for and save for your kids and for your next of kin. And the other angle to it is that they kind of understand that many people in the older generation were not born into this world of technology. They're not born into this world of gadgets and devices, which makes them less tech savvy, which opens them to a lot of financial fraud via technology or via technological means. They've also noticed that people in the older generation are more likely to maybe the word trusting is not the right word, but they're more open to things that seem like they're legitimate or come from a place of authority. Unlike with the younger ones who might want to scrutinize everything or who might be in touch with the reality of what's going on today. Then I put lonely because many times people might get married and move to another city, or like we are seeing today, we want to emigrate to a different country entirely. And the older generation might be now trying to get used to communicating online and using the internet and as a way of meeting new people or even keeping in touch with their loved ones and things like that. So this now opens them to attacks because they are now in the digital space. Confidence, please confirm if you can still hear me and if I'm making sense.
Nah, sense plenty for this place, too much. Now vibrate.
All right, thank you. From time to time, I'll be asking you to just say one or two things so that I'm sure I'm not speaking to myself.
Sure.
Okay, so we go into why it's so rampant. The internet is a very powerful tool. There are so many things that can be achieved with the internet, and many of these tools are free or are available at very cheap prices. So this also applies to the tools that are being misused for negative purposes. A lot of them are also free and available to everyone. Beyond the tools being free, even the lessons, the tutorials on how to use those tools are also free. If you go on YouTube, there's hardly anything you want to learn how to use. You can't find lessons on how to use them there. And also, many attackers are able to mask themselves and hide their identity. So if I'm able to commit a crime, okay, not me, if a bad person rather is able to commit a crime without the identity being discovered, it's more attractive to them than as opposed to committing a crime where the identity will easily be discovered. So this makes the internet more like an enabler in quotes for these financial frauds that happen online. Also, social media provides necessary personal information. Many elderly people who have worked for lots of years in the industry are proud of their achievements. So many of them, even we young ones, to have LinkedIn profiles where we try to highlight what we've done, what we are doing, our professional profiles. For people that are quite popular, there are press releases on them, there are articles, blog posts, and so on that talk about them and things they have done. And some of them even talk about their families. And also, many of us are connected to our parents online, which also kind of allows someone to link accounts to know, okay, this is this person's dad, this person's sibling, and things like that. So because of all these things, an attacker that has the time and is willing to find that information can know quite a lot about you just by being on social media without even trying to hack you or do anything that comes in contact with you directly. Just by observing, they can learn so much about us. So that's another reason why these crimes have become so rampant today. So that was just meant to be like a kind of background into the main issue. So now we'll go right into financial fraud. I'll be talking about the different angles that they come from. So the first one here is smishing, which is it's a way of scamming people via SMS. So the common ones you see are things like the examples on the screen, if you can see them. Hooray, you just won 2 million naira, call this number now to redeem your reward. Typically they claim to come from, maybe they'll say it's a Glow this promo, or it's a Kia promo, or they just try to attach a company that has the money or can afford it, and that they probably a company that also is known for doing promotions and giving rewards and things like that. And they just try to send a broadcast SMS to anyone, hoping that some people will respond. Typically, what they do is that they might not even know if all the phone numbers are working, so they send out that broadcast, hoping that people will respond or people will call the number. If you reply the SMS or you call the number, then okay, this number is active. And depending on your conversation with them, they can decide to push forward to try to get you to part ways with your money. So we need to be careful with SMS that we're not expecting. If you are winning something and you didn't apply for it, it should be, should be a trigger for you to know that this might not be something legitimate. Another option is also congratulations, you've been selected to receive an iPhone. So typically they're trying to congratulate you, inviting you to do something to receive a reward and things like that. Next one is phone call. So sometimes when if you respond to that SMS or they could decide to initiate a phone conversation to take it to the next stage, right? So they are calling you to try and take money from you, and this is called phishing. Other scenarios, in addition to the ones I gave under smishing, are maybe they call you that your child is involved in an accident, they're in the hospital and they need money right now for blood and for treatment, they want to open a card, things like that, and they could ask you to send 15,000 naira, that the person's phone is broken so they can't call that number, send the money to their account so they can settle the hospital, things like that happen. They also tell you, oh, your nephew has been arrested by SARS, they're in Panty, you need to bring this money to things like that also come up. Your grandchild has been kidnapped, Pastor Joshua gave me a number, customer service from your bank, you tell you I'm calling from the bank. You will say which bank, you take the bank, go to the bank that you open your bank account in, and things like that. So they try to even play mind games with you. When you try to challenge them, they ask you questions to try and make you, like to try and convince you that they're legitimate. Some will call that, oh, they are from the finance department or IT support, they need your email to help you do this, configure this, and things like that. So it varies. It's based on maybe what you are involved with. Sometimes they do their research, they might even know where you work, which will determine the kind of scenario, the kind of story they will come at you with. So we need to be alert to these things. Obviously, I can't cover all the scenarios. I just cover the ones that I've noticed or the ones I've often seen on my own parents' phones. So this is another type of financial fraud, but it doesn't really have to do with our devices, our personal devices anyway. This now has to do with the device that the banks own, which are the ATM machines. So, and this device is called an ATM schema. It's a slim device that is designed to look exactly like the actual parts on an ATM machine. So I didn't get pictures of all. There's one that looks like the card slots. You can see two different versions on your screen. There's also one that looks exactly like the keypad. So they lay it just on top of the actual keypad, so it fits. You can see there's little space around the keypad. So they usually just put it there to fit. Then there's the last one that has a camera. So some ATMs don't. Some designs of some ATMs will not allow them to fit cameras on top of another camera. But there are cases where we've seen some slickly designed cameras that were fit as well. And the idea is to capture information. So these schemas have a scanner behind them where once you slot in the card, it's reading off the surface of the card. Same thing for the one on the keypad. When you type in, when you punch in, it's storing the codes you are punching in. So it knows, okay, these 4 figures obviously will be the PIN and things like that. Same thing for camera, it's like a view to see. So this is for enlightenment's sake. We should be alert. So when you're using the ATMs, you can take a few seconds just to jiggle around things, because sometimes they use glue as well. So you could just, like, don't go and break somebody's ATM machine. just lightly shake the dashboard and
We'll call your name.
to make sure that the ATM has not been compromised. We also advise you don't use ATMs that are in isolated areas, but we'll come to those advices later anyways. So now, email attacks. This is like a really, really, really big issue globally. It's not just a Nigerian issue, and it's not a seniors issue. It's not just a seniors issue. We have so I tried to break them down into 4 parts, but there are other issues. The first one is phishing, which is email scams. Second one is email compromise, which involves accounts getting hijacked or hacked. The third one is malicious links and attachments that are typically sent with emails, and spamming, which are usually bulk emails that are sent to people, typically ones you didn't ask for or are not expecting. So for the first one, the term phishing was coined from the actual act of phishing, where you go to the open water, you throw a large net, hoping to catch as many fish as possible. And this is similar. It is a similar way in which attackers go about phishing scams. So because of the billion of email accounts that exist in the world today, they could buy an email database and just send out an email blast to everyone, hoping that people will respond in a similar fashion to how SMS scams are also run. And because of how automated the world has become and the kind of tools that are available, you could send out an email to hundreds of thousands of users within seconds, right? Which means that the attack surface is very large, because you could target millions of people within a day and things like that. There was a time a friend of mine interviewed a scammer, and he said he used to send about 650,000 emails per day or per week, if I remember correctly, 650,000 emails because of automated tools. So that just shows you how much effort is being put into the casting of the nets into the water. Okay, here's an example. I came across this some days ago. I think it was on Twitter or LinkedIn. It's just a simple, short email talking about how someone died of kidney cancer, and they're looking for there's an unidentified family or relative, so they're trying to get next of kin so they can deposit some money into your account and things like that. So some of this, sometimes because of how eager we are for money or greedy, or even out of curiosity, you might decide to reply the person and go forward and try to see if you get the money, and that's how they will you in. In this scenario, the email was deactivated before the encode, or before the targets could follow up to probe and find out what was going on. So that's why I put the second side of the screen there just to show. But typically, these are the simple short emails that come like this. Oh, there's this issue. This is what you stand to gain. We need your assistance. We hope you respond soon. Some I won't tell you need to respond within 24 hours, within 48 hours, and things like that. So these kind of emails should make us curious as to how legitimate they are. Okay, so there are several red flags to look out for, but generally for scams, whether it's for SMS or phone calls or emails, or even in person when someone talks to you on the road and things like that. So sometimes the offers just seem too good to be true, right? It's typically a get-rich-quick scenario. Do this thing and get double your money. Do this thing and get ×4. Things like that. Typically, it's out of the blue or unexpected. So you didn't apply for a grant, you didn't enter a lottery, or try to do the things that are required for a promotion, and then they tell you you're a winner, and you believe because the grace of God is on your head and things like that. You need to be careful, so we do not fall for these kind of things. If you know you didn't apply for something, so how did you get it, right? So we need to ask questions. We need to totally disregard those kind of things. They could, and most times they require to provide information about yourself. Either they want to know your address, or if they call you on the phone, they probably don't have your email. So they want to ask you, okay, give us your email so we can send you some documentation so you can fill things like that. If they already have your email, they could ask you, oh, want to confirm your identity, what's your BVN, which bank. They'll just try to find out things from you. And at the end of the day, the aim is just to get some money out of you. They will try to get you to do it immediately, like you need to do this thing today or tomorrow within 20 hours, things like that. And if it's from email or even from SMS, the greetings are usually generic. Either they just say hello or they say dear customer or dear sir or dear ma. They hardly ever use your name. But even if they use your name, sometimes just to take a moment to look through carefully. This is a more detailed version of things you could look out for. So I try to avoid using the term social engineering, but that is what these scams that involve someone manipulating another person. They are typically called social engineering attacks. But I didn't want to use that term earlier. It has popped up now. In your free time, you can just go over each and every one of the points that are made on this flyer. I'm going to run through them, but take time to look at them and understand what exactly it's saying. So the first one, from. Whenever you get an email, there's a from field. You're advised to look at the field. Why? Because you want to know if you know the sender, right? And if the sender, if in the email, they say the message is coming from GT Bank, you want to be sure that the email there is actually a GT Bank email. And even if it's a GT Bank email, is it the usual GT Bank email that sends you those kind of emails? So these are the things you look out for in the from. There are some other ones, like I said, in your free time, look at them. The to field is also important. Most people don't check that. Yes, you received the email, but it's possible there are other recipients. So if it's a credit alert, why should more than one person be receiving the email? All right. Sometimes you see yourself, you're in the CC field. That's the copy field, meaning that they're sending it to multiple people. These are things to look out for. If you see those kind of things, just be careful with the emails. Hyperlinks. We try to advise people when you receive an email that has a link inside, don't click on the link. If you need to go to the link, either open a tab on the browser and type in the link, or copy and paste the link. Don't click, because things can be masked under the characters you're seeing with your eyes. And even sometimes the links, even some of the attackers are not careful to hide the links. The links themselves give off the fact that it's a scam. So just try to always check the link. The date. So if the date usually shows time as well. So if an email is coming from your business partner, or it's coming at a time the person would typically be asleep, or the person typically wouldn't contact you, you should just pick up a phone and make a phone call. Yo, did you send me this? Can you send me this email, just to verify that it came from that person? The subject also is important. Most times you can tell from the subject, they are always trying to either put fear or try to make you feel as if you've achieved something. Usually fear or you've achieved something and stuff like that. So the subject is also important to look at. When there are attachments, always be careful before you download. If you don't know who the sender is, or if you didn't ask for the email, please don't download any attachment. And even if you have to download, make sure it gets scanned by an antivirus. Then the content of the mail as well. Most emails that are used in social engineering, they are either not constructed well. You see grammatical errors, you see punctuation errors. The formatting itself doesn't look good, it's not presented properly, and things like that. So just try to look at the content and consider if it's legitimate. If we're in a physical class, I'll ask someone to try and tell me the other things that are wrong with these two examples. I've circled one. We're not in a physical class, so it's hard to know if but I'm hoping that from the previous slide, the idea is that in your own free time, if you look at the previous slide, that's the red flags, and you come to this page, you should be able to see 3, 4, 5 things that should be pointers to you in each of these emails that are side by side here. So this is like a take-home assignment for you in your free time. Confidence, are we good? Am I flowing?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. This is something, an activity you can do. If you click on this link, which if you don't do, if you copy and paste, by the way. But yeah, if you click on this link, you will go to a website where there are about, I think, 14 examples of website, and they will ask you, is this a legitimate website or is this a phishing website? So the idea is that by looking at the website and looking for the pointers we've just covered, You should be able to tell if your website is legitimate or not. So please, you can do this. You can also send it to family and friends, your kids as well, or your parents as well, to do this short quiz. So now, beyond the scams, we'll talk about email compromise, and later on I'll come to social media generally, but I'm focusing on email for now. A typical, so like I mentioned earlier, it just refers to when emails get hijacked or someone hacks into your email. They start sending emails as you, or they start downloading your emails to see who you communicate with. They download your contact list, and they do all manner of things in your emails. Some might even hack you, and they won't even do anything that will make you know that they're there. They will just make all your emails get forwarded to another account, their own account, so they can see who you're communicating with and what you're discussing. So, and which makes this very, very dangerous. So typical causes, like I've highlighted, weak passwords. When we use words that are common or use passwords that are short, basically simple passwords easily get hacked. Or we use one password across multiple platforms. So you're using one password for your 4 email addresses, for your Twitter, your LinkedIn. I mean, I'm sure you get the drift. Use a password for like 4 years. You've never changed it since the day you created that email account. As time goes on, the ability to hack passwords becomes stronger. So that means we need to change and use better passwords as time goes on, or as the years go by. Many of us don't use two-factor authentication on our accounts. We'll explain this a bit later in the presentation, what two-factor authentication is.
Please, Somalia, let me break you here. Are you there?
Were you saying something, Confidence?
Yes, I was just going to break you there on that very important point you raised. Please, if there's anybody on this webinar that has not... Hello? Hello?
Okay, I can't really hear you. So I don't know, can you type? Oh, did you say we've run out of time? Oh, okay. All right, sorry, I'll continue then. So, yeah, like I was saying, some of us write down our passwords, and even when we write it down, we don't try to hide it. We leave it on sticky notes or on papers on top of our tables, at home or in the office. We don't lock devices as well, which is another issue. Some of us share too much information online, which can enable someone to guess our passwords or our PIN codes and things like that. Now to malicious links and attachments. So these are links and attachments that come in emails. Some of them are typically used to steal information from us, from our system. So there are some links, when you click on them, they could download tools that could be recording your screen or recording your keystrokes when you're typing, or even activate your webcam to see what you're doing. So this is why we always advise, don't click on links you do not recognize or links you didn't ask for. And even if you need to click on a link, or if you need to use a link, don't click copy and paste the link. Or if you know if it's to log in somewhere, just go and type in the correct website, so you escape any risk that will come with that link. Same thing goes for attachments. Many attachments are used to cause trouble on the system. When you download them, you think it's a PDF file. You run the PDF file and it's not a PDF file. Instead of showing you a document, it just tells you maybe something is not working, or you should click OK to enable something. Meanwhile, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So we need to be careful with the links and attachments we get in emails. And this extends to, it extends beyond emails actually. Even your SMS, sometimes you might get a text and it's a link attached to it. And many of us don't have scanners on our phones, on our mobile devices, and we click those links and we don't know what might have happened in the process of clicking the link. You don't know the website to take you to, you just click because, oh, the text said something interesting. Same thing for social media as well. We need to be careful with the links we click on. Okay, anyways, we've come to social media attacks now. So we'll be discussing the kind of attacks social media is used for. I'll start with the one I feel a lot of the older generation use these days, which is WhatsApp. So, okay. This attack is relatively easy to execute because phones get stolen. people have been known to do deals with, I'm not accusing anybody, but it's an allegation, anyways, alleged, that people have done deals with some of the guys that sell SIM cards, and they're able to do a SIM swap without requiring the biometric data that is supposed to be used to verify someone's identity. And when that is done, someone can get access to, someone can use that phone number and push you out of the network because they have now created a new SIM card, and you can't have two SIM cards behind the same number. Also, so there are times that, okay, let me leave it at that. Sometimes we also download malicious apps or updates. There's a time that they were talking about, I think it was WhatsApp Gold. They were saying it's a special kind of WhatsApp that does this and does that, and people were clicking on the link to download that special WhatsApp to get whatever extra features it was offering. So that's another way that people are falling prey to WhatsApp hijack. And the thing for attackers is that it's very attractive because if you get into one person's phone, you have access to virtually all their contacts that use the app. So you could even be forwarding through groups which goes beyond their contacts. I think it was this year that WhatsApp had to reduce the range of how many people you could forward to. I think before it was unlimited. I'm not sure. I'm not really a fan of forwarding. But anyways, these days I think it's only 5 people you can forward to. So that has reduced the reach. But I mean, if you're forwarding to 5 groups, then you're still reaching a large group of people. So the reach for WhatsApp is wide. And you as a person, you have a trusted identity within your network. So within your contacts, if a message comes from you, you know, oh, is this brother that sends this message, or is this uncle, or is this person that you know sent, because that's their phone number anyways. So there's a trusted identity that is leveraged on by the scammers. Then there's valuable data on WhatsApp. It communicates with people, business messages, personal messages, intimate messages, all manner of things happen on WhatsApp. So when someone gets access to your device, for instance, in the case of a stolen phone, they have access to all that data, which isn't good. And then there's ease. So like I said, because everything it's an app, right? You just click, you've done this, you click, you've done that, and stuff like that. So it makes it easy for them to carry out the attack because they don't need any serious technical know-how. Typically, our guard is down on social media websites. So when we're communicating, we're not really too keen on issues or on the threats or dangers that are there, because we're just there to communicate, sometimes to have fun. So typically our guard is down, which makes social media generally a good place to perpetrate crime. So usually when an account has been hijacked, the next thing is to move on with a crime or move on with a scam, try to scam people and get some money off them. So like I mentioned, typically people send links. They send links to individuals and to groups to get them to click on the link or to forward that same link to other people just to spread it. A lot of false information is distributed via WhatsApp. We all know the kind of things that our parents show us, and even parents yourselves, you know the kind of things that you receive on WhatsApp. Some are to scare you and tell you, oh, if you eat this thing will happen to you. If you do this. All manner of stories, and many of them are false, and they're just a campaign to scare people or to even stop people from using a product or patronizing a company and things like that. And the danger with this kind of scam is that when we start getting broadcasts and messages like this, sometimes there's no way to verify the actual source. So some may have links to a blog post or a government website that can go and confirm, okay, this information is correct. Sometimes you just get a broadcast and there's no signature at the bottom. No one says, oh, it was written by so person. You can't even know when it was written. And this is a very dangerous thing because you can't verify the source, and you can't know how legitimate that message is. People create fake business accounts. So they create a WhatsApp account that they're using to run a business in quotes, but the business might not actually be real. And the idea is to use those accounts to defraud people. So I could create a social media account and say, okay, I sell wig, and my wig is this amount, is from this country, is quality, blah, blah, blah. Click on this WhatsApp to make your order. And you come I show you, you can see pictures of people saying, oh, thank you, I loved my wig, and other feedback on the social media sites. You now click, go to place your own order. 1 week passes, no week, 2 weeks, a month. Before you know, the person deactivates the social media account or the WhatsApp account, and you realize, oh, I've been scammed. So a lot of people are using WhatsApp in this manner to defraud people. Sometimes people will message you to ask for urgent help. I need this, I need that. Can you transfer to here? Stuff like that. Some will contact you as if they know you to try to converse with you just to get information from you. Or some could even message you to, or some could send links and say, oh, if you click this link, you can fill this form and you will get access to this. The idea is for you to divulge your personal information so they could use it for further scams and things like that. Okay, here's one example, and okay, the date is even there. I'm happy. This just happened last month to one of my grand aunts. Yeah, so I saw it on my mom's phone, so I took screenshots to use it for this presentation. It came timely, and you can see. So the link of the website is there. Funds for COVID-19.com, and this was the first site shows you the message I was sent on WhatsApp. Right. Ignore the lower part. I think I was the one that sent that message to somebody. So ignore that part. Anyways, it says the government has finally approved and has started giving out free 25,000 naira relief funds to each citizen. Below is how to claim and get yours. You get the gist. And when you open the website, the first thing you see is congratulations, free this. They ask you, are you a bona fide citizen of Nigeria? And it's just a yes or no. They didn't even try to get a more reasonable way to verify if you're a citizen. So the idea is just to make you feel as if you're going through the legitimate process. They're trying to make you not look like a scam by asking you that. Second one says, how much can sustain you through the lockdown? To make it seem as if they're asking for actionable intel, like reasonable information from you. And when you click all that, you come to this page and it tells you, congratulations, you are eligible to get the funds. Click share. So the instruction is to click the green button to share and send it to 7 WhatsApp groups, only groups, right? And they say share until the bottom panel is full. So they expect you to click the button, share, come back, click share. And they're just getting people to, first of all, it's a waste of time. And at the end of the day, you might be doing other things on your system without you knowing. You'll be downloading viruses or malware to your system. And so many, you could even be stealing information from your system. You're just busy clicking, trying to get 25,000 or whatever amount someone picked. At the end, they even ask you, what will you use your free 25,000 naira for? Internet food cleaning, things like that. And the funny part was that at the end of the page, you would see comments from people trying to, in quotes, confirm that they received money and that it is not a scam. And I mean, I don't know every tribe in Nigeria, but these names don't seem like they're Nigerian names. I don't know, maybe someone can. If I don't know confidence, if you recognize any of the names that is. I don't really say anything.
I don't recognize anyone though.
Like I mentioned, there's usually a deadline. So you see, this offer is limited only till 25th of October. Hurry. They're trying to make it feel as if, oh, there are a few slots left. There's a page, so you could see left 1,936 free lockdown packages. So the schemes are the same. I don't know how they did this, but they have 173,000 comments on that post online. That tells you how many people that they have reached with this message. It could be Photoshop anyways. But the point is that these are the efforts they go through, the lengths they go through just to convince people that something is legitimate. Meanwhile, it's a scam. So I've put this there because this lockdown, a lot of people have, on social media have been complaining, my WhatsApp has been hacked. What do I do if this? And there's no one solution because there are various levels of the hacks, right? So it's possible that someone might have just done a SIM swap, right? It's possible that someone has gotten to the point of even deactivating your two-factor authentication and reactivating it on their own phone. So I put the link as well, which you should copy and paste. I'll keep stressing that. So you can go to this website to learn about what to do when your WhatsApp account gets compromised. Sometimes if you just log out and log in again, you might push out the other person. So that's like if it's just a basic hack, but if it's beyond that, then you need to go to this link. So in your own free time, as usual, please look at this. So I just spoke about WhatsApp hijack, and it also happens on social media. And it's the same thing when they take over your account. You see them sending private messages to everybody. It's usually a short message with a link. Click on this link to do this, or hey, I came across this and I think you will like it, or I think you will enjoy this game. Stuff like that is what they usually send. Some don't use private messages. Some put it on the timeline for everyone to see, hoping that someone will retweet or someone will click on it or someone will like and stuff like that. So we need to be careful. Again, it's typical MO, trying to spread false information, trying to steal information from people, trying to promote fake businesses so that someone will come and patronize and lose the money. And typically is to tell you, oh, there's this business deal. If you bring 5,000, you can make 10,000. Click on this link. Slots are reducing. So for all people's sake now, to look at investment because you guys usually have money, or they will say anti-aging cream or drugs, or they will tell you, oh, to boost your libido, Viagra, all manner of things like that. So these are the common businesses that they use to push these scams. There was a recent case, most of the young people will be aware of this, on Twitter, where there was a hack on Twitter and accounts of prominent and popular people were compromised. And it was basically used to perpetrate a scam to tell people that, oh, if you give me, I'm trying to do like a giveaway, if you give me money, I will give you back so amount in 30 minutes. And a lot of people keyed into it, a lot of money was lost. If you Google it, you see more on the story. So this is just to show you what can happen when social media accounts get hacked. You can imagine that within 9 minutes of Mike Bloomberg tweeting, he already had almost 1,000 people retweeting. About 400 people had responded, right? And within 38 seconds of Joe Biden posting, or his account being used to post rather, almost 100 people had responded, or if 100 people had already liked it. So you can imagine how many had clicked without even liking or retweeting or responding and things like that. And because it was a Bitcoin account used, it's not as if it's a bank account you can verify, oh, this is the owner. So the Bitcoin was used. Most people don't even try to check the ways to verify Bitcoin accounts, like the QR code, for instance, and other means. Most people just click because they're eager to get the money, because they say they're doing it for only 30 minutes, meaning that if you don't key into it now, the deal might run out before you're interested. Another kind of scam is romance scam. Again, typical aim is financial gain. Sometimes it's gain information, but most times it's just to get money from you. It promises you love and attention. Meanwhile, you're just trying to make you lose money. And usually they'll tell you, oh, after some time, like they build a relationship with you, they become like someone you can normally talk to and stuff. And they're trying to tell you, oh, they want to meet you, they want to travel, but they can't afford the flight tickets. Could you just pay $2,000 for the tickets so they can come see you, that kind of thing. And they will try to even guilt trip and tell you, if you really say you love me, why can't you buy my ticket and stuff like that. You should be careful about those kind of things, because typically you just try to exploit the trust. And because they've been conversing with you for some time, they kind of know a bit about you. So they can even know how to manipulate you and get you to actually part ways with your money. And I mean, it's not too common here, as far as I know anyways. It's more of a foreign phenomenon, but it's beginning to creep into Nigeria gradually. And you never know, sometimes the attackers are from all over the world. So even if it's not a common thing locally, you could be attacked from someone outside the country. That happens a lot. Okay, yeah, so this is just a poster I got from Action Fraud. It's a popular UK-based organization that stands against financial fraud. So I just got this. You can look at it in your free time. I'm trying to run through the slides because of time. Okay. Before I go to the security tips, let me leave this here. There's also one that I've started noticing, recruitment scam. I didn't put it on the slides because I have a bad habit of editing my slides even when I finish, and I told myself I'm not going to edit this slide again. But I'm going to talk about it everybody, so you can do some more research on your own free time. Recruitment scams are becoming very common now, where people call you and say, oh, Oga Diz gave me your number. He said I should call you that they're recruiting here. You can give me your children's CV or tell your children to call this person or to go and meet this person. And many people go, they'll tell you, okay, fill this form, do this, pay money for processing. Or they will tell you, oh, this your own batch, the interview is in Lagos, so, but don't worry, we've done a deal with Arik Air. If you give us your name and your details, and we'll put you into the guys that are getting discount for air flights. Instead of paying 25,000, you end up paying 10,000. So hurry up, though, because we only have like 15 slots. And people will say, okay, no, yeah, they want to get discounted flights to Lagos, obviously, and use the other money for other things, or the money remaining for other things. You end up paying that money and nothing happens. You don't get any slots. There's no recruitment happening. Eric is not aware of anything. And those are some of the ways people run these recruitment scams. So people can even tell you to, like I mentioned, you have to pay for processing. So we'll tell you to pay for the form. And we've been told several times that legal recruitment anyways, don't require any form of payment. So when you hear people talking about job and talking about paying, it should be a red flag for you. So I just said, let me mention recruitment scams, because a lot of people are unemployed and opportunities are kind of scarce. So most people are less likely to think through when these kind of things come up, because they are hoping to take advantage of the opportunity in quotes. Okay, so now we'll talk about general security tips you could take against cyber threats, and then we'll still narrow it down again to the ones that are around financial fraud. So this is probably talk about what you can do as a person. So you need to use strong passwords, and I'll come to in a bit. I'll talk about what strong passwords are exactly. The password should be long, private, and uncommon. We'll talk about that as well. Use two-factor authentication. I'll explain that in a sec. Always update your apps and firmware promptly. So many of us, because maybe we don't have a Wi-Fi, an internet subscription. If you are that uses Wi-Fi and other devices, we use our mobile data. We don't want the mobile data to finish. So when our apps, like there are app updates like maybe every day. So sometimes you don't want to waste your data on updating your apps. Over updating your OS. Apple OS now is about 2 gig plus. So sometimes we'll be delaying or what's the word? Postponing. We're postponing the updates. Meanwhile, we don't know that these updates sometimes are security updates to fix issues with those apps and even with the firmware, which in the long run also secure you as a person, as a user. So we need to start updating our apps and firmware promptly, even if it means going to your friend's house that they have unlimited internet to go and use it, to go and inconvenience them. The idea is don't postpone your updates. Always update your apps. And when you're updating apps, use only the official app stores. Don't go to some websites that you think the app is there and go and click on download the app to your phone. No, just go to the official the app store, like your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, and update your apps. Even when you're downloading the app initially, always do it from the stores, please. We're advised to lock our SIM cards and devices. So many people use biometrics, like you can use fingerprints or the Face ID. We are also advised to have like a passcode or a PIN code, because sometimes your fingerprint sensor could go bad, or your Face ID sensor or the camera could also have issues. So you might not be able to use them. And for many other reasons, it's just advisable that you have an actual lock, either a pattern or a code. Same thing goes for the SIM cards. Many people don't know that they can lock their SIM cards. So if someone steals your phone and the phone is locked, the next thing they will do is to remove the SIM card for the phone and put the SIM into another phone. So if you don't lock your SIM card and your phone gets missing, and they could use your SIM on another phone to try and call people, to try and send messages before you're able to go and do welcome back or block that SIM. So the idea here, if you lock the SIM and it's slotted into another phone, the person cannot use the SIM, because the SIM will ask them to unlock it before the SIM connects to the network. So that's an extra layer of security that we can try to adopt. Trust but verify. This applies to messages, calls, emails, everything, social media. When you receive a communication, even if it's from someone that you know, always take the extra step to verify. There are people that have lost money because their CEO sent them an email to pay money to a regular client or a vendor, and they usually communicate via email. So they didn't even check the account number to confirm that the account number is truly the organization, because it's a normal transaction they do. That failure to make a phone call to verify their communication made them to lose money to the scammers. Confidence, are you still with me?
Yes, I am. We should start taking
Okay, I
questions
can't really hear
soon.
you.
So please have everybody have your questions ready. Hello? What did you say, Samaria?
Okay, I'll go on. So yeah, whenever you get a communication from people that claim to know you or you seem to know, always just place a phone call, right? You should be able to know the person's voice. I mean, someone that's close by, could just go and ask them physically, especially if you're in an office setting. You can just ask, did you send this to me and stuff like that. Now, when dealing with customer service or banks and stuff like that, always check their official websites to confirm that communication is coming from the correct email address or the correct phone number or the correct social media handle. Don't go and communicate to somebody because they say they are calling from GT Bank. You just conclude, okay, yes, it's GT Bank. Always go to their website to confirm that that phone number is correct or that email is correct. So Stop Think Connect is just a global movement that advises people that before you do anything on the internet, take a moment to consider what you are doing. Think about what could happen if you are wrong about what you are assuming you want to do. So for instance, if you want to go to a website, before you click on that link, take a moment to consider if that is actually the link to that website. One way to do that is, like I mentioned, is to copy and paste, right? Because you don't want to just do anything, then find out you're on the wrong website and then something is going on in your system. But then it's a bit too late. So you need to consider what you're doing. What are the dangers here? Is this thing really safe? Is this legitimate? Before you click or before you connect. So that's just Stop Think Connect. You just take a moment to think about what you're doing so that you do not fall victim to unforeseen issues. Seek professional opinion or help. When you have issues, ask your kids, ask your parents, ask colleagues, people that you know and the field as well for opinion so that ignorance doesn't become your downfall. And whenever you come across something that seems suspicious, report. I know we do not have a very good reporting culture in Nigeria, sadly, but I think it's gradually changing. So if something has to do with your finances or the bank, always report to your account manager or the bank itself, or even CBN if the bank is not doing anything. Always try to report things that do not look okay, so that because when we report, those issues get taken up at least. So if the issue is discovered, it could be blocked so other people do not fall victim, right? So sometimes we do these things not just for yourself. You might say, okay, of course, I always know this thing is a scam. Someone else might not know. So if that scam is not discovered, other people will keep falling prey to it. So that's one good reason to report. Sometimes, like the websites used for some of these scams or the emails get deactivated, which is a good thing. Okay, so now to social media. What you could do on social media is to make your accounts private. Typically, when your account is private on some platforms, not everyone sees what you post. Not everyone can connect with you or send you a message. So this gives you a way to filter who sees your content for privacy's sake, and to also make sure you know who and who is on your page. So you don't want kidnappers or armed robbers that are sharing the internet with us, because they are all online anyways, to be knowing about your movements or the places you go to and things like that. So one way to do is to make sure you could filter to make sure it's just your friends that are coming onto your page. And sometimes when your account is not private, you can still filter things. Because I know on Instagram you can share stories with close friends. You can list out the people that you want to see certain posts and things like that. On Twitter now you can deactivate comments. You can pick who you want to comment on your post. So these things generally improve the social media experience, and they also make your life more private and secure. So we should consider those things. You should delete unused or old accounts. Many people have accounts that they've lost access to, or they're not more interested in using. Like some people might still have their High Five. I don't know if High Five as a platform is still online in English, but some people have High Five accounts they no longer use, Facebook accounts they don't use, Twitter and the rest. Try and deactivate those accounts so that someone, because if most times when you don't care about an account, you might not be checking your emails for it. You might not even check the email that you used to create that account. So someone can hack into it and use it for other things, and you're not aware because you basically don't use the account anymore. So try to always delete or deactivate old accounts that you do not use anymore. On social media, we need to share with care. Many of us have a very terrible sharing habit. Any small thing you have shown your passport. You are flying to London and Lagos to London tomorrow. Those kind of things. We want everybody to know that having fun. And when we are sharing, we go as far as showing the ticket itself to show, oh, I'm flying through Emirates on Tuesday at 5 p.m. We give off too much information. People do the same thing with their kids when taking pictures. So you pick up your kid from school and your kid is still in the uniform with the badge showing, and you take a picture and the badge is showing. Somebody that wants to come after you, God forbid, but it happens, now knows that, oh, your kid goes to this school. So if I want to apply pressure on this guy, I just need to get the kid from school. Things like that. I'm just giving an example. Obviously, I respect our schools to be secure, but that's not the point here. Same thing for work. When people take pictures and their work IDs are showing, and it's advised to usually flip your ID to the back, so people do not easily know where you work. But obviously, when you're in a working environment, you need to turn it to the front. But when you're in public, you either take it off or show the back of the ID card to prevent this kind of lapses, especially when you're taking pictures. Same goes for banking information. People take pictures of their tables or their rooms, and sometimes you see cards there on the table or in the room.
Yeah.
You don't realize, and this can be detrimental to your finances. So typically, don't share these things with anybody, especially like card or banking information or addresses, stuff like that. You don't want people to know because it could have negative impact on you. So for people that travel a lot, or people that are in entertainment industry, or in an industry that requires you to share on social media and talk about things that you do, try to not do it in real time. So for instance, if you have a meeting somewhere and the meeting is not going to be aired, so you don't need people to know you're on that meeting, you could talk about the meeting after you're done or when you're leaving the place. So that way, if someone is trying to track you or someone is trying to plan around your movement, they are using false information. So that's something you can do if you really have to share. Just try to make sure you don't do it. I know people that they travel somewhere, is when they come back, they talk about where they traveled to and what they did. Right. So you don't want people to be able to track your movements and know where you're up to. Okay, so now we'll talk about We'll talk about passwords and two-factor authentication. I'll start by discussing what password managers are. So you know how many parents have a special diary. Hello?
Hudson, please check the chat. Yes, check the chat.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Please check the chat.
I really can't hear you. Okay, I can see your message. Can you just type the message? I can't hear what you're saying. Oh, well, we need to round up. Okay. On my end, it's showing me 15 minutes more, so I don't know. Anyways, there's still a few slides to go, so maybe people can go through the rest on their own. I'm hoping the grammar and everything is quite straightforward. Did you want to? Okay, you say you want to take questions. I'm confident.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me. Can anyone else hear me? Can anyone else hear me?
I can't seem to hear you.
Yeah, can anyone else hear me?
I can see you, but you're not, like your audio keeps breaking. But can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly, and I think other people can hear me too. Hello?
Okay, how many more minutes do we have exactly? On my end,
We've run out of time. We're supposed to actually finish. We're supposed to finish the session itself at 6:44 and 6:45, and then take questions for 15 minutes. So right now we are so many minutes past our time.
Okay, I can't hear you, so I think it's on my end. Someone says they can help both of us.
Okay, so I'm just going to.
I can't hear you at the most. Can you just type what you want to say for me while you're saying it? I'm so sorry. I don't know what is causing the issue. Okay, you can pose the questions here now. You can pose the questions. Okay, if a senior unwittingly becomes the victim of a scam, what first steps should they take and who should they report to? So it varies. It depends on the kind of scam. Typically, if it's like a banking scam, I always have to call your account manager, go to the bank, contact someone in the bank immediately. And if nothing is being done about it, you can contact CBN. They have a customer, what do you call it, complaints department or something like that, anyways, and they follow up on those kind of issues. If it's beyond, if it's other things, NIDA has a care line or a care email. I can't remember. It's a very long phone number. I think it's 08099887766. It's a very, very long number like that. You can just, I think you should be able to find it on their website and stuff like that.
Okay.
So typically, it depends on the kind of scam. But always look for people that are authorities on the matter to solve the issue. Okay, second question. Most seniors do not report scams due to shame or embarrassment. If you were speaking to a senior in a situation, what would you tell them? Everybody gets scammed. Everybody gets attacked. So there's no shame in it. It's not a function of how smart you are or how knowledgeable or how, it doesn't, everybody gets scammed. The idea is to discover that this thing is a scam, report it so that it does not, even if it doesn't, even if you don't fall victim, other people don't fall victim, right? Never be ashamed to talk about these scams so that other people do not fall victim. Since most seniors are not so tech savvy, what advice would you give them on how to manage passwords? So I was going to talk about password managers, which is a tool that allows people to, it creates passwords for you. It can store it on your system and across multiple devices. It's like a secure place to store different passwords where you just need to remember one. But for those that are totally not tech savvy and do not want to employ this method, our advice, do not use your browsers to store passwords. What I will tell you is, well, what I know some people do, they have a book where they write their passwords, and that book is usually stored in a safe. So it's not the best thing to do, but it's a non-technology based option for storing passwords securely. Since most seniors are using social messaging applications like WhatsApp, what is your best recommendation on how to use the application? So I was going to talk about two-factor authentication with regards to things about like this and password management. But we need to look at all those things in our own free time. Advice is share with care. Always try to verify things before you do. Try to avoid clicking on stuff you do not recognize or you do not know. Always ask questions. Never be ashamed to ask any question. Never be ashamed to report issues and stuff like that. Please. Everybody is a target. There's nobody that is not a target. So it's not really a function of whether you are a guru or not. Always try to look out for features that improve the security. Like I mentioned, two-factor authentication, which is like a second layer of security that stops someone that has your password or that can get your password from hacking into your system. So it's a very important thing to use. Let me round off with this. If you have a few moments, in your own free time, please look at password managers, look at how to create a strong password, and look at this website that's at the bottom of your screen. Let's talk about passwords. When you want to buy a toothbrush, right? You pick a good one, a good strong one. You don't share your toothbrush with anybody, I hope. You change it regularly, I also hope. You do not reuse an old one. And you supplement using your toothbrush with using floss or mouthwash, which is what I call two-factor. So we want us to imbibe this culture in our password management. Always pick a good and strong password. Do not share it with anybody. Change it regularly. Do not reuse an old password, or do not use one password across multiple platforms. And always, no, not supplement, I think I meant complement. Complement your passwords with two-factor authentication. Don't just use a password or a passcode. I've tried to rush through that because of time, confidence. I hope I did justice.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Aston.
I don't know what the problem is.
Thank you so much, Aston. We heard all the answers, and I can see that some people can also hear me. So I'm really excited, and I hope all our questions have been answered. Let me see one question here that was not answered before now. Sorry, one last question.
Okay, so there's another question for people that do not use phones that like smartphones. I use regular phones. you might not be really victims of, of email scams and stuff like that. But most of the time, they'll be getting phone calls and email addresses, right? So for those kind of situations, the idea is to when someone calls you claiming to be calling from somewhere, right? If they're calling you from your bank, you need to find a way to verify the phone number. Also, many times they're just trying to tell you things to make you do something, right? If someone is calling, telling you, oh, they're calling from this company, there's also business opportunity, it should be a red flag. But anytime someone is offering you something that just sounds too good to be true, too sweet, the deal is just too juicy, see it as a red flag and try to verify through another means. Don't try to verify through the same person calling you, because if the person is a scammer, he will lie that it's not a scammer, right? Same thing for text messages. If you get a message that is from a number that you do not know, in fact, sometimes people go and register numbers like a company name. You know how MTN will send a message.
Exactly.
Someone has started registering numbers, brand names, so that you don't think it's a scam. So that's why I said whenever you get an SMS that has a link or an SMS that you know you're not supposed to get, if you didn't apply for a deal, you shouldn't be getting the deal. Don't click on those things. Don't respond to those messages, because when you respond, you know that the number is active and they want to contact you further. They want to add you to their scam list and continue to try other scams, and hoping that you fall for one.
Okay, thank you very much, Ashley. We've come to the end of this webinar. Thank you very much for everyone who stayed with us to the end, and thank you so much to our resource person for making out time to be part of this. Please follow Atson on social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. He's very active and he's sharing information that's very important. Please follow him. Thank you so much, Atson, and we hope to have you back very soon. Goodbye, everyone. Bye. Please talk about this webinar online on social media and let us know.
Hear you. I'm just saying bye.
And let us know what you think.
If the call is not getting disconnected, I'm still going to be online for questions. So I don't know how this platform works. Yeah, I'll be typing. I hear you. Yeah. Okay.
So please go to nogoformaga.org. By tomorrow, you will most likely be finding information about the slides and the presentation, and of course the replay from today. So please follow us on social media if you're not already following us, and visit Nogoformaga's website by tomorrow, and you get some of the information that we've shared here. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Hello?
Hello? I'm calling you for your bank. No, you will lose your account.
My account, okay.
But I can help you. Just give me your passport, your card number, and your PIN number.
Okay, my card number is 1.
No go for my God. No go lose God. Make you no start. Go for your hand. Yeah. See why you're plenty. They wanna do you dirty. They wanna make you empty. They wanna see you flat. No go for my God. Listen, my belly people wait. You also when you grind and they will be it. They send you fake verificate. They wanna wipe your Instagram for nothing. Protect your email, different password for everything. You download crack software for free. When you know say my guy you for feed pay. This is risky. Protect your money. No give anybody password or OTP. Make them no chop you. No go for my God. No go lose God. Make you no start. Don't for your hand. Yeah. See why you're plenty. They wanna do you dirty. They wanna make you empty. They wanna see you flat. No go for my God. See my brother, no go come. If they ask for your CVV, no go drop bomb. If anybody tell you, say, hey, I'm calling from the bank, can you send me your PV and make you block come? Come on back by the world, more bill. If they want you pin, tell them no will. NCDC know no they share free money. Make you no go carry mulatro, well or the go bill. Protect your password. Use the factor, make your account no go act up. And make you know they click links that you can't trust, or you go receive a lot you can't account for. No go fall my God.
No go lose God. Oh. Make you no start. Don't for your hand. Oh. Yeah. See I see why you're plenty. They wanna do you dirty. They wanna make you envy. They wanna see you flex. No go for